Welcome everyone to another State of the Republic Town Hall. In this case, this is SRFC versus San Antonio edition, our live show in which we'll give you all a little preview of what's to come tomorrow for Sacramento Republic as we play against San Antonio at 7:30 p.m. at Hart Hill Park. Today we have here Jared. Podcast mom is actually sleeping right now, so we're hoping she's having a good night. And as we mentioned on Twitter and other social medias as well, if you want to be on here, the link is out there. If you can't find it, let us know and we'll send it directly to you. If you want to just hop on and join us here, not all good. You could just tune in there and leave your comments on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you're watching us at the moment. But let me welcome Jared. How's it going, Jared? Welcome to the podcast.
It's good to be back. It's been a while, I think, since the Las Vegas match, I believe.
Yeah, it has been a while, and I do have to say, we're still around. Hopefully people didn't think like, oh no, hopefully they're not stopping. Hopefully they're not going to stop doing podcasts. We just decided ourselves that last game against El Paso just wasn't even really worth covering because let's be honest, right? I mean, there really wasn't that much to talk about, at least in a good note for us. And it was one of those things that, we couldn't be as disappointed because we know El Paso is a really solid team. They're first place in their group. So you can't be really disappointed at that. Although I do have to say that I really wish Romella would have actually shot it better, right? That penalty kick we got because 2-1 sounds better than 2-0, and our differential is hurting. So that would have been good.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much you can do about that. I mean, you can't run up and hit the rebound on every single penalty kick that you shoot. I mean, it happened like a couple months ago, yeah, but it's not going to happen every single time. But I just wish we had a little more follow through, but to say the least, that match was definitely not worth writing home about.
Yeah, unfortunately, no, but hopefully the coach got a lot out of it too, right? I mean, he got to try new players out. Unfortunately, first time that Juju gets to start a game, and I don't know if that was a good game for him to start. I think I probably would have gone with another player as much as, he played pretty good against Las Vegas. And so I hope coach gives him another chance because you can't really judge a player against this team.
That's true. I mean, El Paso is basically the Phoenix of the Mountain Division, only without all the drama. I mean, they're actually doing everything right in the Mountain Division. So were we expecting an easy win? Absolutely not. I mean, I knew this was going to be a formidable team. I just wish it wasn't so 2-0, but it is what it is. I mean, we can only do so much, and it's on to the next match, which is tomorrow against San Antonio.
Yeah. Onto that game, onto what we can expect for tomorrow's game. But let's sort of start off, Jared. What players are you looking forward to seeing tomorrow in the starting 11? I know that we've seen a couple of different players rotate, right? As we just mentioned, Juju got the chance to be in the starting 11. A couple of starters were in the bench and all that. But who are some players that you want to see during tomorrow's game, start the game? What's in your starting 11?
I would like to see Juju again. I mean, aside from last week's match, I mean, he was exceptional in Las Vegas, I mean, to say the least. So I would like to see if he can carry some of that same energy into San Antonio. Now, San Antonio, in the standings-wise, they are more middle of the road, but that would definitely be a great chance for Juju to execute some of his Las Vegas-style goals on the opposing team. And yes, of course, it is going to feel a little bit of a rubber match between Emil and Mitch Tainer, given the fact that this is their first match they're playing against each other since the loan. So I'd like to see what Emil does against San Antonio while we have him on loan. We also did get a couple of new signings this week as well in goalkeeper and forward. So I'd like to see what maybe if they do anything at all.
Yeah, it's one of those things that just catches you by surprise, right? And I'll never understand why, like, in our league in the USL, I guess there is no transfer deadline. From at least from what I know, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like we could just get any player at any point in the season, which it's good, right? It's good for us. It's good that we don't have that like constraint that maybe other teams and other leagues do have, where you have to basically choose one or the other, right? And it has to happen by transfer deadline. So great stuff for us. And goalkeeper wise, I mean, you can never have a lot of goalkeepers. And as much as we have that academy goalkeeper, you want a backup. And you know, we know that we haven't had that much luck this season. We've had injuries left and right, and so you know, it's good that we get this goalkeeper, and he might be in the bench now, is what I'm assuming for tomorrow's match already. And yeah, we'll see if that's the case. And also the forward we just got, you can never have enough forwards either. So,
well, it seems like we're treating ourselves like a Minnesota's farm team. I mean, if we're going to get any more players from Minnesota United FC, then Heart Health Park might as well start serving some Juicy Lucy burgers at this point.
Oh, right, yeah, that would be something else. I just hope that they don't try and take Nabi again, because yeah, we need him. So please don't.
Yeah,
we'll take more of your players, but don't take him.
Let us keep him at least till October 30th. You know, let us finish out the regular season with him. I mean, he has been excellent. This will help with more development with Minnesota. So just let us keep him for a little bit longer.
Oh yeah, hopefully so. So if we take a look at the lineup that we had in the last game against El Paso, this was the lineup, and you know, I think it wasn't too bad. In fact, you know, I think if I was coach, I actually repeat the game with the same squad as my starting 11. And like I said, give Juju another chance to be in that starting 11 squad, because in this match, a lot of these players just couldn't really quite do as much as they could, because again, it was a really strong side that they faced against. And, you know, I really like the starting 11, right? I mean, we didn't get anything great that came out of this, but that doesn't mean that the starting 11 can't do good in tomorrow's match. And so hopefully we see more of these players, at least a good amount of these same guys out tomorrow in the starting 11. That'd be a good, I think, starting 11 for us.
Absolutely. We've gotten results with this starting 11, so let's keep it going. I mean, we absolutely need this, especially given the fact that Tacoma got blown out by Oakland of all teams, and now they're ahead of us, so we've got to do something. I mean, a tie is no longer acceptable at this point. We need 3 points all around. So hopefully this starting lineup will get us those 3 points to push forward.
Yeah, we need as much offensive power as we can, right? Because tomorrow's game is going to be pretty critical, right? And I know it's something that I do constantly say over and over again. I feel like I'm like a broken tape recorder at this point, because I keep saying it week over week. But I think we are at that point now where if we don't get those 3 points tomorrow, it's going to be, I hate to say it, but I feel like it's going to be nearly impossible to get that fourth place, because as you mentioned just now, right? And if we also take a look at that, Oakland is now up higher, and I'm not sure why this looks like that. Let me 1 second, let's get that fixed. Oh, here we go. Google is just turning into evening mode.
Yeah, there we go.
So if we take a look at the group standings here, like you mentioned right now, so Oakland Roots, unfortunately for us, right, they won their game, and because we lost and the combination just kind of went in their favor, they are now 1 point ahead of us. And that is something really critical, right? Because we are 4 points away from Tacoma. And initially, and I still say it right to this day, we have 3 more games against Tacoma. If you get, you know, the most points that you can out of those 3 games, of course, getting the 9 points would be ideal. But if it's not 9 points, if you just get 7 points out of those 9 available points, then you might be in a good spot, right? You might be above them. There's a chance, right? Hoping, of course, that they lose 1 game, so that way you can catch up in games played, and we don't have to do the math with that. But now having the Roots 1 point above you, now it's even more critical that you don't not only beat Tacoma, but that you also beat Oakland in that last game we have against them in what will hopefully be in Oakland, right? But I don't mind if it's in Livermore again. So I mean, important points, right? But you also got to make sure that you also take care of your other opponents, right? Because these teams could start going up, and by the time we play against them, they might be far away, right? That even a win against them is not going to do no good if we don't get those points now. And so, pretty critical thing for us. And if we look at like some of our upcoming matches, I mean, of course, tomorrow San Antonio, we got on Wednesday we have to travel to Washington now, and so it's going to be right like just
Yep.
finish the game, travel to Washington, play against Tacoma. That is a really critical point, and I think just to put it into context, right? If we get the 3 points tomorrow, we would be sitting at 29 points. Tacoma still right 1 game in hand, but putting that 1 game in hand aside, we'd be 1 point away from them. And then we play against them in the following match, and so we could potentially be at 32 points if we get those 2 games won. And not just that, right? But if you do that, you're going to be caught up in or hoping that Tacoma loses 1 game, and at that point you're
Mhm.
2 points ahead of them, right? So like
Yep.
within 1 week, we could be in a playoff spot if the combination of results goes right. Oakland ties or Tacoma ties or loses, and then we beat Tacoma and we beat San Antonio. We could be in that spot, right? We next week we could be talking about us being in the playoffs after looking at it from so far away if we lose. So that's
Yeah.
why I think tomorrow's game is so critical, because you win, you might be in the playoffs and we might be happy next week, and which will be great for next Sunday's game. Or you lose and suddenly things start looking pretty rough, right? Especially if Tacoma and Oakland win their matches. Yeah, it's gonna look like things are getting pretty tough here. And like just to give everyone some insights, right? So Tacoma, their game is this Sunday against San Diego Loyal. San Diego is pretty strong. We got to have all the faith we can that they'll lend us a hand and beat Tacoma there. And then, of course, when they play against us, and then they play against Phoenix, right? But they do have two
Mhm.
home games. Phoenix, as much as maybe 2-3 months ago, I would have been like, oh, Phoenix is just gonna just do whatever they want, right? They're gonna probably win 4-0, 5-0. I don't know anymore, right? Like, we don't know anymore with Phoenix.
Well, they actually did beat Las Vegas convincingly. So there was that. But then again, I know it's Las Vegas and all, but we're already done with our series with Las Vegas. So the easy wins are done for the season, unfortunately. Now it's we're going to have to scrap and scrape for anything we can get. And even then, we're still going to need help with other teams. I mean, we do, of course, want to make sure Tacoma continues to lose, but really, that the team is that strong, it's not going to be too easy. We're going to have to go 110% on the rest of our games, especially the fact that we're playing Tacoma 3 more times, and then also against San Diego. We have at least 1 match left against Phoenix, and we know that's definitely a scrap between those 2 teams, as evidenced last month against over in Chandler. I mean, just scrapping to a 0-0 tie. So it does not get any easier. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It from here on out, it goes hellacious. We need to be up to the challenge, and we also need to make sure that we also get some assistance from other teams. Otherwise, we're going to be out of the playoff.
Yeah, and it's a sad thing to say, right? Because it would be the first time in our history that happens, and yeah, I could already see it with other fans, right? We've talked about it before, right? Some of our fellow podcasters as well who've done podcasts on Sacramento Republic, and for all I know, I mean, it could be other reasons, right, and all that, but you can't help but to think if maybe the situation that the team is going through right now could be a case for that, right? I mean, Indomitable City Soccer, a big publication that we know, right? They would always help us out with some information, right? They had the inside scoop on
Yeah.
some things, and they've been quiet for a while. I mean, if anyone knows what's up with them and all that, please let us know. I we haven't really dug too deep into what happened there, but it starts to worry you when you see those things. And us not being in the playoffs, I don't know. You combine that with, again, the uncertainty of MLS and what's going on there, and I don't know. It's a big uncertainty of what's going on there, and that there would be nothing better if the team were to make the playoffs at least, right? And we could at least bring more fans in the stands and have more games. And it's looking really tough, right? Like, we probably wouldn't host the home game in the playoffs, but just bring that back to us, even if we don't go beyond the first stage, which I gotta be just honest, right? I think even if we do make it in fourth place and make it into the playoffs, I don't see us beating El Paso, because in all likelihood we would be playing El Paso. There's a pretty good chance that it would be them again, and again traveling to El Paso, right? We know it's just a one game playoff, and so yeah, but people still want to see a playoff.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a repeat of 2019 all over again. I mean, because that's who we ended up losing to in that playoff year. I mean, they were the upstart, but they got the upper hand on us, and we exited fairly early with that. But it's who's to say? I mean, we could have a sudden streak on our hands. I mean, it'd be great if we can carry on to continue going on to the playoffs. But it's not going to be a cakewalk. I mean, Republic FC, they're going to have to knuckle up and get tough on these clubs, almost like how we had earlier in the year. But then for some reason we slightly fell off. I mean, we've got to get back to that mentality of win or done, because in all seriousness, that is what the situation is. Either we win, or if we're only just tying, we're more than likely heading out to Cancun early.
Yeah, and nothing would be worse than that, right? Than already looking at the table and being like, yeah, we're out already, right? To the point where you could pull as many calculators as you want, you could like punch as much number as you want. You're never gonna get the math to work. It's not. So hopefully not. I don't want to be in that situation where, and then, as you know, Jared, right, you're going to the game on the 30th, last regular season game against San Diego.
Yes.
Let's hope to not be in that game and we're like, yeah, we're done already. We can win this game, but it's not going to matter. It's just going to be, we're just going to end the season with with the win. So hopefully we are not in that. And right, in all likelihood, like you said, right, if we were to get into a really good streak, just like Oakland did, right? Because Oakland, as Podcast Mom mentioned it, right? The Red Hot Roots, right? Might as well call them that. Like, they were down, right? And all of a sudden they like had this like resurgence that was just crazy out of nowhere. And so if we have something like that, heck, second place isn't looking too far, right? And you play against San Diego in that last game. So if you do get into a good streak from here on now, when you look at that last game on October 30th against San Diego, who's to say that you might not be battling to like move up in one of those positions against them, right? There's a chance there.
Yeah, looking at these standings, San Diego and Orange County are literally neck to neck. At 34 points each. If they both falter and we somehow manage to get a good streak going on, technically, yes, it is possible we could be in the hunt for second place. If we could just get past them. If we continue to build up the points up and up, with our last match going to be against San Diego on October 30th, that could be the game that, if we work it out, could put us in sole position for second place. I'll have to crunch the numbers to see if we win out the rest of the season, how that fares for us, if that's even going to be possible. Obviously, we're not going to take number one spot. Phoenix has ran away with that ship months ago, and seeing as they're at 50 points right now. So right now for them, it's just a matter of finding out who they're going to play, either from the Mountain Conference or Mountain Division or anything. But the rest of the Pacific Division is still up for grabs. It's just a matter of who is hungrier for the playoff spots. We need to have our plate out and say, hey, you know what? Put that last playoff spot on our plate because we're starving.
Oh yeah, that would be good, right? Because if you're able to actually claim a second place in the group, then that means you do get a playoff game, right? Playoff home game, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to go back and see if that's what they go by, or if they go by like just total points or whatnot. But if that's the case, then there you go, right? There's our chance to to actually see them in a playoff game there too. But yeah, I mean, it's not far away. It's not far away right now, and hopefully we see a lot of people tomorrow actually go down and support. I'll be there. Unfortunately, podcast mom has another thing going on, so she won't be at that game, but she will be at the following game. But I want to see more people out there. I want to see like the support, because they're gonna need it more tomorrow than ever before. Because again, it's so critical. It's it's a win, get close to playoffs, or to lose, and get ready to just watch it on TV, kind of a deal. And it's sad to say that, but the numbers are there. We can see them right there. And as I mentioned, right, so some of the next rivals there that we have, Tacoma's playing against San Diego on Sunday, so we won't know what the result is until Sunday, of course. Oakland plays against Los Dos tomorrow at 7. So before our game ends, we are going to know what the situation there is with Oakland, whether they actually got the 3 points or not. But still, we probably should not be looking at that match too much. We should only be caring about ourselves, because even if they do win, you want to make sure that you still maintain that point distance with Oakland, because we are going to be playing against them again later on, which isn't too far off, right? October 6th, we go visit again the Bay Area to play against them, and we're gonna face a different routes, right? And it's gonna be a playoff hungry routes, so we need to make sure we're on point for that game, because we have not done as great against them, as we all know, right? We pulled 3 ties, and let's hope it's not a 4th tie, unless of course the other option is losing. But let's hope that we don't make it another tie, because this team is going to be really tough. In fact, I think it's going to be tough to tie against them a 4th time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, would be unheard of, at least for our short history, of not even a single win or loss in an entire series. And we could possibly be seeing that when we take on Oakland for one last time this regular season. I mean, I would prefer, of course, that we get the 3 points, because really that's the one thing that's kept us close with Oakland, the fact that we haven't lost against them. And if we had, obviously Oakland would be probably in 3rd place right now, potentially. But because of the fact that we have managed to keep them shut out, I think that's our one saving grace against Oakland, rather than face some losses.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Thanks to the literally, right? Good point. Good points, I should say. They actually literally were good, right? Like in hindsight, now looking at what the situation right now is in the group, they were good, right? Because we would have lost those games, and we were so close to losing the game in Livermore, so close, right at the end of the game. Ooh, we felt it. We felt like they were close to scoring a late winner, but fortunately they didn't, because, like you said, if they did, they could be in 2nd place right now. We could be in a worser situation at this time being and whatnot. So yeah, so there's that right there, of course, too. So I mean, these are the next games that we have. I think, looking at the games that we have here, I think San Antonio is probably the tougher one, and I don't see it as being like a difficult circumstance where you say that we go on a streak where we at least don't lose, right? I could see the team pulling some wins and some ties out of these next 5 games, and if you do that, if you just keep getting those points, you might be in a good spot, right? Or at least still be hopeful to make it to 4th place if you get points out of this. If we don't drop points in these next 5 matches, I think that October 30th, if we're not in 4th place, we're at least going to be close to the point where we can actually say, all right, we win this game, we might make it miraculously to 4th place, right? Or if the right combination of results happen and all that, then we can make it. And I hope we don't get to that point, because it's way too nerve cracking. Like I don't want to get any anxiety just in that last day. looking at other matches and just tuning in and just rooting for other teams, hoping that the right thing happens because it usually never happens like that. So hopefully not.
If all else fails, I'd be willing to share my Alka-Seltzer gum. So
Oh yeah, I think you're gonna have to buy a big box for a lot of people on the 30th.
yeah, just a pretty much first 500 fans gets the free gum. Believe me, you're gonna need it.
Talk to the team, right? They're like, "Oh, this is the giveaway, right? Just in case it's needed. Here it is. Hopefully it's not needed. Hopefully we see everyone just throwing it in the trash afterwards."
Yeah, and maybe we can get co-sponsored by Target and have like the bullseye design, just have them sit right behind the goal, so that way we can tell them you need to kick the goal here, right at the bullseye. Just put it right behind the opposition goalie, not up there, not over there, right here.
That wouldn't be a bad idea, right? Put it right there, or put it behind the goal net. Just say right there, strike right there. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, given as many folks that we're pulling from Minnesota United FC, and since Target is based in Minnesota, hell, let's make it work.
Oh, yeah, that's true. There's a connection there.
Yeah.
It could happen. Yeah, so these are the next 5 matches, and if we keep going down, just so you all know how many matches we have left, after that, there's another 5. So in total, we have 10 matches remaining, right? That's 30 points that are available to us. So it's a whole lot of points when you look at it from that side, right? But of course, once you let a game go by, of course, it's going to start going down. So those 30 points are going to be 27 as of this Sunday, and it's going to look a little bit different. But in the last half of the season, right, or I should say like those last 5 games, after those 5, we face, I think, tougher competition, right? Because we still have to play against San Diego twice, right? And again, going back, right, they're second place right now. Again, you have 2 games against them. They're also critical games. And so I think, and of course, we also count Tacoma right there, right, on the 17th at 2 p.m.
Yep.
Critical games, right? I just feel like the matches, of course, putting OC aside, right, because we're already done with them. The matches that we have against teams that we're directly competing for a spot, we have games against them. That's what we have going on for us, right? So if there's anything good out of this, is that you got those games. You got to play those games as if you're in the playoffs, because you're directly taking points away from them, getting closer to them. And that's why it's so important, again, that they get those 3 points tomorrow, because you want to be as close as you can to that 30th mark. You don't want to lose your distance against them. And because when we play against them, we want to be close to them, right? We want to be to the point where you beat them, you go above them, and at least you have a little more confidence, right, in that, all right, I'm above them, whether it's a point, 2 points, whatever it is, even in goal differential tied, but you're already at their level, right? You're already right there. If you lose another game, all right, but you're still right there. You're still within distance. And so critical games. And like you said, we visit Phoenix again in the game before the last game. That's going to be a tough game. They can't leave it to the last 2 games. They really cannot leave it to the last 2, because if we depend on that game, on getting points, again, the 3 points in that game, or otherwise we're done. Might as well just say we're done already before the game starts.
Yeah, the cupcake matches are done. Now we've moved on to the Popeyes biscuits matches, and we don't even have anything to drink the last 10 games.
Yeah. So hopefully they can pull the results off them too. And we also play against Los Dos twice, by the way, 2 games there. And then I think another thing to note, right? So 10 games remaining. But if we look at those 10 games, if you kind of count it around here, 6 of those 10 games are at home, right? I mean, you got tomorrow's game, you got the game against Los Dos, Tacoma, again Los Dos, Tacoma again, and finally the Loyal. You got 6 games at home, right? And 6 out of 10 games, if you get 3 points out of those 6 games, give us wins every time we go and watch you guys at home, you're set. You're set. I think if we get 18 points, I think we're good. I think we are solid. I think we would be able to at least qualify in 4th place with 18 points, because that would make us have 44 points. and I feel like that would be a good spot to be at the very least at fourth place. So I
Yeah.
mean, that's how it is. I mean, it might sound complicated, but these are home games we're talking about, right? And I know we haven't done as great at home this season, but I think they need to realize that, right? You're not traveling, you're right there. You got to make sure that you play as best as you can because you are at home. We need to stop dropping points at home. Make your home
Yes.
count because we played against other teams that have done so, right? So you got to make sure you count it.
Yeah, this is the time that we need as much support as possible at Heart Health Park. I mean, really, this was a place that was feared by so many teams over the years, and unfortunately, these past couple of years, last year because of the coronavirus, and then this year with the MLS drama, it's taken a lot of the bite that we used to have. That we used to put the fear in other teams, and now other teams are just getting too comfortable here. I mean, we've lost our touch. We need to respark that fire that we had back in the days of Bonnie Field, back when we were at Papa Murphy's Park. We need to bring that back. I mean, that is the only way that we're going to survive in these last remaining 6 matches at home. I mean, and if we could bring more people to those 4 matches on the road, that's great. I mean, especially in a hostile environment such as Phoenix, Tacoma. I mean, I'm sure we can muster something there. Los we can't really do anything about, unfortunately. But I mean, any support we can get, both at home and on the road, is more not only welcome, but it's badly needed. I mean, we think that the team can win on their own. That's not true. I mean, we can voice our hearts, show the team that we're behind them, 110%, and then hopefully they reciprocate that on the field. But if we don't have the support at home, if we don't have anything on the road, then it all means nothing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, it would not mean nothing. And yeah, I think it's one of those things that, and we've talked about it on the podcast too, right? Like MLS, we don't know, right? And like I mentioned before, I think in all likelihood, at least in my opinion, I think it's done, right? I think we're probably not joining, at least right now. I'm not saying like ever in general, but we just need to realize that, right? That it might be tough. And again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that the team comes out tomorrow and says like, oh wait, no, you're wrong. This is going on, right? Or right now he doesn't know that it's going on. But I think we just need to come to that conclusion that there's a good likelihood that it won't happen. And just accept it already, right? Because people supported the team before, as much as the rumors were going around, right? That there could be MLS ever since the start. I think people just need to go back to that very first game, right? When that first game came around, who
Yeah.
was really saying MLS, right? When we packed the stadium, and unfortunately I wasn't there, right? But everyone who
Yeah.
was there, those 20,000 people plus, right, that were there at that first game, there were the team was just barely getting to be known, right? At least people were barely getting to know the players on the pitch and all that, and there were no MLS. There was no like, yeah, we're an MLS now. Yeah, we're going to be an MLS team. Like there was nothing there, right? There may have been rumors that like, all right, they're building this team. There's a chance maybe we might get an MLS, but maybe, right? No one was actually saying yes or no, and so people still went out there. People still supported the team. So I would really like to see those 20,000 people that were there packing Heart Health Park. And I know our capacity isn't 20,000, but I would really love to see the stadium get a sold out. And to the point where, I mean, it sucks, right? But some people would have to miss out on not going to the game. But get your tickets probably earlier, so you're not one of those. But I
Yeah.
want to see that again. I want to see sellouts happen again because when you have a sold out game, inevitably it's going to get loud, right? And I'm not just talking about on TBB side, but just in general, just throughout the stadium, it's going to be a loud environment. It's going to be
Yeah.
super loud, no matter what. You pack the stadium, we're going to see that. We're going to see that vibe we got back in 2014, 2015, where we would get sellouts. I remember, right? The team would always post, we got a sold out here, sold out there, sold out there. all that was great and all. And so we need those people again. And unfortunately, they haven't gone there. And if there's any fan out there that can tell me why that's the case, right? Why would they maybe stop going to games? Please let me know, because right now my only assumption is like, all right, it's because of MLS, right? Because of all this going on, that people have just lost their love for the team. Which if there's another reason, like please feel free to let me know and all that too. But right now, my only observation is that it's probably because of that. It's probably because of us not being there. And I think people need to change that mindset, right? Because we're
Mhm.
still supporting a team. It doesn't matter where they're playing at and all that. And it's showing on the pitch, right? Like, and you just mentioned it right now, right? Like our home was a place that any team that came to visit us, they didn't want to be there, right? They knew TVB was going to be super loud. They were going to be on them throughout the game. And I'm not saying that they're not anymore. They're still on them, but I've even seen the TVB numbers shrink, right, as the years have gone by. And so we want more people there. We want more people in the stands. We want more people shouting at anything that goes on, right? We're always there, and I'm not saying everyone needs to shout at the referee and all that. Like some of us do that and whatnot, but we need people there that are clapping, that are like stomping, right? That are just making the environment really loud for teams to really feel like, oh, there's a lot of pressure here, right? And they're booing when the opposition gets the ball, right? We're making sure that we are loud so the opposition can't hear anything, right? So if they're trying to communicate amongst themselves, they can't hear that. And that's one of the amazing things that happens when you have enough fans in the stands, right? When you have all that support, you get to be extra loud, you get to be extra intimidating, right, to any opposition, right? Make them feel like they don't even want to play at our stadium. We need that, right? We need to have that again, because if we do, inevitably it helps, right? And it doesn't always help in every game. You might still lose. It's happened before, but at least you still have that, and you give the players that extra motivation of when they go out to that pitch and they see that most of the seats out there are packed, right? There's people in most of the seats that they see throughout the game. They're extra motivated, right? They're like, people are coming, people are here, people are packing the stands. We're getting all these people, we're going to make sure we give them a show, right? We're going to make sure that we give it our all. And that's exactly what the 2014 squad did, right? And look at where it
Mhm.
led us to. So hopefully,
Absolutely.
I really hope so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that was a season like none other. I mean, we need to get back to those days. We need to give a reason for Cal Expo neighbors to file noise complaints with all the noise that we need to put out at Hart Health Park. I mean, if they can set a world record for noises indoor arena back at the old Arco Arena, who's to say we can't do the same for Hart Health Park? I mean, granted, we may not have the capacity as Arrowhead Stadium, who recently set the record, but you know what? We're going to give it our best effort. We need everybody to fill the seats. I don't care if they have to pull a page from FC Cincinnati's book and do $5 tickets for everyone to get butts and seats, but we need to make it happen. We need to get the audio support. We need to get all of TBB, all of the levee patrol out on the levee, anyone and everyone in there to get in there, cheer on the boys in red, get these 3 points, keep this playoff run alive, and hopefully, if we work it out, we may even lift the second cup. I mean, I know it's getting a little ahead of myself, but it all starts with the first step. We need to get people in those seats supporting this club. I mean, it's just like I posted a few years ago, MLS or USL, our boys in red will give you hell. And we need to get back to that credo.
Yeah, that's a good credo. That's how it should be. And I mean, as an idea to the team, why don't you do it this way? Do a buy one, get one free, right? Where you buy a ticket, you're basically forced to bring a friend, right? Because now you have another ticket. So why are you just going to let another ticket just go to waste? And do something like that. Because, if there's a lot of empty seats that go unsold, I mean, they're going unsold already, right? You do a buy one, get one
Yeah.
free. At least you're filling those seats that would have just gone unsold, right? And like you said, right, even do $5 ticket nights, do, I don't know, do free ticket nights. I mean, I don't know, just open it up, right? Like, just who wants a free ticket? We'll let you in for free. But just do things, right? Just encourage people to attend the games, make it easier on them to do so. Maybe rent out a bus and say, like, who wants to, like, join the Republic bus or something, and we're going to be
Yeah.
picking up fans from, like, a specific area in Sacramento, and who wants to join, right? We'll take you to the
Yeah.
game, and you just pay for your game ticket, and we'll pay for your transportation, essentially, right? to,
Yeah,
to
I
the
mean
game.
that's what Phoenix is doing. I mean, with their pub to pitch shuttle program. I mean, granted, they only have the one that services Central Phoenix, and the majority of the buses serve the East Valley. But that'd be a great thing to do for Sacramento. Like, have one route that picks up from West Sacramento and downtown Sacramento, some that pick up from Elk Grove, South Sacramento, others from Roseville, Citrus Heights, Rancho Cordova. Just some kind of transportation system where folks that may not necessarily make it out to the game because it's too far, or parking is too much, anything like that, have an incentive to bring people in, make it easier. And who knows? I mean, those dollars that they would have spent on parking or so, they could translate that over to food, to merchandise. I mean, to other things. Maybe if the shuttle system is, that time capable, maybe getting something around the Cal Expo area. I mean, really, this is a good way to show Republic FC is green as far as the environment goes. To that, for those that necessarily may see coming out to the game as an obstacle because of the distance, meet the fans halfway or so. And also for those that and I will say I'm guilty of it as well. Have a few beers or so. It's a safe way to get home, or at least a safe way to get picked up from their originating point. So, like, for example, I used to live in the Stockton Fruit Ridge area, basically East Lemon Hill. If there was like a pickup point, like on Florin Road or something like that, to take folks to the match, I mean, great, because at least that way, they've got a way to get to the match. And then if some of us do have a little bit too much, instead of risking it on the Cap City Freeway or 99, we have the bus that drop us back off at Florin Road or wherever, and then we can get home the rest of the way. But at least this way, that's helping the environment. That's helping fans with accessibility to the match, and they may spend that extra money there at the match. So it's something to look into.
Yeah, that would be a really great idea if they were to do that. And like I said, right, like, just have it where, just show proof that you have a ticket to the game, and we'll let you in the bus, right? Well, like, the team is going to sponsor this
Yeah.
bus. Like, if you want to go out and look for a sponsor, I'm sure there's like dozens of sponsors out there who would sponsor this bus, right? Have it all like decked out, and whatever sponsor, right, is going to be doing that. And just have these things, right? Every home game, it's going to happen. You have a sign up sheet where people can sign up, and that's how you keep track of, making sure that you fill the seats in the bus. And there you have it, right? I mean, you set that, and you set a meeting spot in the stadium for after the game, and a time, and all's good.
Yeah. And even then, you've got the 67 and 68 routes that still go by Cal Expo. So you could easily take light rail, connect up to 29th Street Station, and you can have a designated bus pick up from 29th Street Light Rail Station, go directly to Heart Health Park, or at least increase service. You just show your screenshot or of a flyer or your game ticket, anything like that. And then that way you can at least catch light rail to the 29th and then connect to either the 67 or 68 or whatever special bus you have leaving from there. I mean, that's another way of getting accessible transit to the stop. I mean, to the stadium. I mean, unfortunately, Phoenix has pretty much thrown that out the window. But why not take advantage of it? Especially since RT is a sponsor, as far as I know, of the club. Why not extend that out to folks that don't necessarily drive, such as myself? I mean, there's been countless times that I've ended up doing Uber or Lyft to get out there, and of course that gets a little bit costly. Why not partner with RT to have a game day shuttle? I mean, even have it that way. Some kind of either discount or free or some kind of combo pack where if you buy a ticket, you also get a free day pass for RT. Some kind of arrangement to encourage that.
Yeah, that would be the ideal scenario, right? And it's not going to cost them anything, right? Just a part of the sponsorship, and it's good public relations for the team, right? Because like you said, we're showing that we are green, and we want more fans to take advantage of that. And again, for anyone who has a couple more beers than they maybe imagined, you also have that option, right? So I think it's a do good thing in so many different ways, and it benefits the team in so many different ways that I hope they hear this. I hope that we're just trying to get them more dollars in their pockets at the kind of we want more support out there because we know that it is out there. And I always just wonder, like, what's really going on, right? I mean, we're both in that same boat, right? I mean, you travel, of course, a bit further than I do. But we're fans right now from the outside, right? Like, I'm driving to the game, I'm driving tomorrow to the game, I'm driving to a couple more home games. Like, that's me driving from like an hour and like 20 minutes away from the stadium. But
Mm-hmm.
there's so much more cities along my way and all that I'm like, why aren't people going? They're right there. They're right there in the spot. I mean, you can't tell me that the Kings are playing right now because they're not playing right now, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're not actively playing. I mean, sure, you got baseball, right? You got the River Cats, but you can't tell me that. You're always going. I mean, there's much more baseball games too and whatnot. So, what else is going on? I think that is causing people who would love to watch the Republic not actually decide to go, right? Because I know there's a lot of people out there, and I would say there's thousands of people out there that once were like people who would go a lot to games. It's like, what is going on? What is one thing that is making them not go to games? And I'm speaking specifically people who are living in Sacramento, right? Because I'm sure other people
Yeah.
maybe move to other places. I mean, you moved to, of course, as well, and all that. But I want to know, right? Like, what's going on with that? Because I mean, I always question that, because as a fan who commutes to games and who has to go through like a good commute to get there, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I would be expecting more people around here. If I lived in Sacramento, I would definitely be going to every single home match. No question about it. I mean, the
Oh
games
yeah.
are later on at night, and they're not even every weekend, right? So it's not like, it's every weekend, but clearly there's something going on because, I understand 1 or 2 weekends you have something else going on, another event, but
Mm-hmm.
there's people that maybe have not been in the whole season, maybe, right? But the only thing I couldn't understand if anyone is still a little concerned about COVID. But if we take a look at it before COVID, we were already kind of going through this, right? 2019,
Mm-hmm.
I saw the stadium a little similar to how it is now. So it's not just so much like COVID concerns. I think it's much more than that. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely get the concern that folks still have as far as COVID-19. That's we're not dismissing that any at all. But like you said, I mean, even in 2019, before it started taking a foothold, we were kind of seeing a drawdown of attendance. I mean, by the fans. I mean, I would really hate to have this as another USL unsolved mystery, but I mean, if anyone can let us know what's keeping you away from the matches, for at Hard Health Park. I mean, whether if it's COVID or the fact that we're no longer getting MLS, well, possibly. I mean, that's still uncertain, or if it's just some other reason that if you're not going to the home matches. I mean, we'd like to know. I mean, we're not trying to be nosy or anything like that, but we want to see the fans out there. We want to see this the local support for this club, whether they're in USL Championship, League One, League Two, or even if we do eventually move up to MLS. I mean, we've got to support them. I mean, we've had their back for so long. I mean, they're needing ours, especially this deep in the season. I mean, there's got to be something that can be done to get more butts and seats.
yeah, well, of course, we'll probably pose the same question on the podcast because I really want to hear more insights if anyone out there is there, and we'll probably do a post on social media, and people can voice their concerns, because I'm really curious as to what's going on, and all that, because I guess I said right now, right, only thing I could really think of is of course COVID, like I mentioned earlier. But I think beyond maybe COVID too, putting that aside there, I think MLS is the other reason why people are a bit sad about the whole situation, about how it happened. But there's just so much that we don't really know, right, about MLS, and we could sit down here and just guess so many things that are going on and this and that and whatnot. But at the end of the day, we're not there, right? We don't really know what it is that they're going through right now. What happened? Why is it that Ron didn't sign that document? Why? There's a bunch of whys, right? And unfortunately, we don't have the answers to everything. But I think it's just one of those things where we need to put that aside already, right? Old news, put that aside. Just go out there, support the team, but do all that, because at one point you were a fan, and you can't just stop becoming a fan of something because you don't see something actually happen, right? Like, it doesn't matter what that is, if it's a championship, if it's something else. But if you establish yourself as a fan and then you suddenly stop going to a team because the whole MLS thing isn't going to happen anymore, then come on, right? Because I said this before, right? Even when we got MLS, even the day after we got MLS, I was like, I hope we see a lot of people who actually went to the USL games, packed the stadium, because in all likelihood we're probably going to get new fans because we're in MLS now, right? New fans that
Yeah.
maybe could care less about the team in USL, but now that we're in MLS, suddenly, oh, now they want to go watch the team, right? Now they want to go support. I'm not saying that we're not going to accept any support, right? That's great and all, but I'm just saying support the team while it's in the USL, no matter what happens, right? Because I think that the USL has gone through a long ways, right, since we first started, right, since it was USL Pro and all that, and it wasn't even Western and Eastern; it was just like all of a combined league of sorts back then when we won the championship. So it's gone through a tremendous period of growth that I think that it's just going to keep growing, right, and eventually there's talks about Pro Rel with USL League One, League Two, and all that, and so we need to be excited for that, right? At least the league's
Yeah.
not stagnant. At least we're not seeing that the league's not doing anything, and we're not worrying each day if like the league's gonna fold the next day, and then suddenly we have to go out and I don't know, join NISA, join MPSL, right? Join another lower league. Like, at least there's that, right? We get to
Yeah.
enjoy Open Cup. Hopefully, once it's back to normal, if it ever gets back to normal,
Yeah.
and we get to enjoy all those things. So that's why I say, right, to keep supporting the team, because it's one of those things where if the team sees that they're filling up seats, right, to the point where they sell out games, to a point where as I said earlier, right, as sad as it is that you see people that unfortunately can't get a ticket because it's all sold out, right, unless they know someone who's selling it outside of the box office. If they keep seeing that, right, season over season, and they're like, oh, look, we didn't even get MLS and this happened, well, guess what? They might end up saying, let's go build that stadium in downtown. Maybe not make it as glamorous, right? But let's
Hmm.
go build a, I don't know, 12,000 seater, 15,000 seater downtown, because clearly there's a demand for tickets, right? People are still going to come watch the games. Let's get people a venue in downtown where it might be more busy, where it might be more convenient for some people, and all that, and there's more transportation, more public transportation, more options for all that. Let's go have our own place, so we make our rules. We don't have to depend on Cal Expo. We don't have to not even practice at Hart Park most of the time. Like, let's have our own place. And I mean, even if it's not downtown, anywhere else, wherever, Elk Grove, it could be anywhere else, but let's go have our own venue. Let's go do something like Championship Stadium at Irvine, where you have this complex and you have this little venue that's still nice. It's still cool looking.
Hmm.
Something like that, right? So that's how the fans can ultimately get rewarded, if the team sees that the support is still there. And I have no doubt that if we were to see like people still supporting the team as much as they used to, that I think they would do that. Like, I could not see us continuously paying rent to Cal Expo forever, right? And I hope we don't. And I like our venue and all that. I'm not gonna like just say that I don't like it or anything, right? We have special memories there and all that, but I think that we should have our own place. But
Yeah.
we won't be able to get it if people like don't support as well as they used to support. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Heart Health Park is always going to have a place in our heart. I mean, it's where we won our first title. It's where we've seen so much history unfold. Yeah, and it's a place that's not going to go away easily. It would be great to have that stadium in downtown, but in order to get that, we need the support, and that's gaining of support starts with tomorrow's match against San Antonio. So, with that in mind, let's see if we can break down tomorrow's match against this club, against San Antonio. I mean, how do they look against everyone else? I mean, in the Mountain Division.
yeah, so San Antonio, second place, just right behind El Paso. Still a bit further away from El Paso, but 37 points, right? I mean, doing pretty good. If they would be in our group, they'd still be in second place and pretty well set off. So they're doing good, and not just that, right? But fifth place, RGB Toros, where our good old Roro is playing at, they were doing
Mm-hmm.
fantastic, right? And then suddenly they started to drop now, and they're still right there close by, but they've started to drop. They're only 6 points away from them. So we have to keep in mind that these guys are not going to be easy. I mean, of course, they're not going to be as tough as maybe El Paso, but these guys are still going to be quite a challenge. And not just that, but keeping in mind that they know they got to keep winning, right? They got Colorado there with one more game than they do, same points. They're gonna want to be 3 points ahead of them, right? Get it as far away as possible to those bottom teams because they, as much as they're in second place right now, it's kind of a similar situation to our group. They're just like 2 games away from maybe not being in that spot anymore. So we need to be careful with that because when you have a team that is so close to playoffs and they know that they can't lose a point, right? Because it's like win or lose, that could determine their future even in just one game. They are going to be tough. They are going to be going out all out, right, to get those 3 points because they want to make sure that they can be in a better spot than they are now or in a better situation and start to be away from the rest of their competition there. So it's gonna be quite challenging to play against these guys. And unfortunately, right, we get 2 tough games, right, with El Paso and San Antonio back to back, first and second place, right, of all things. But that's how the draw was. Unfortunately, not all the teams in our group play against the same out of group rivals, and it sucks. It's a shame, right? Because we would, of course, much rather play against New Mexico. That's right there, and
Oh yeah.
Arizona got to play against New Mexico, as we know. And so, that's just unfortunately how it was. And do I like it? I don't like it. I think it sucks. I wish it wasn't like that because it's like you got some teams playing against maybe easier teams from out of group and others that are playing against tougher ones. So it's just a look of the draw, right? Because no one knew what the circumstance was going to be preseason. But you got to do what you got to do. And we did play against Real Monarchs, and as we know, right, we lost against them. And look at where they're at now, right? 7 plays, 16
Yeah.
points. So it's kind of hard to tell, right? I guess even if we look at teams that might seem winnable against, it might not be as winnable against. So it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really tough tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely, and let's not forget Mitchell Tainter. More than likely, is going to be starting, and this is going to be a revenge match of sorts that he's going to be playing against us. We know how powerful he is, and I mean, especially back in July when he was on our side and managed to get the tie against San Diego. I mean, he's definitely going to be a wild card in this match for San Antonio.
Yeah, and we still don't know the situation, right? We still don't know why the loan happened, why the loan trade happened, right, between him and Cuello, what all went down with that. But we do know that we didn't really see him that much at the beginning of the season, right? He
Yeah,
played here and there. In fact, I mean, the last match that I really remember him the most was that San Diego match that you went to because of that
yeah,
last minute goal. So we don't know what happened there, right? But we can only guess, we can only imagine that he is not happy, right, with what happened, right?
Yeah.
Because coach would have probably played him more. We don't know what happened there, right? We don't know what kind of issues went on between them there. But when you have a player like that that left just out of nowhere, didn't get a lot of playing time, as much as he's been with us before, right? And this was like the second time that he was coming back with us. I
Yeah.
don't know, right? They always got that like sense of like wanting to prove the coach wrong, right? Trying to
Mhm.
give it their all and like even give it even extra, right? Have a game in which they play even better than maybe other games because they have that extra motivation. And so we do definitely have to be careful with him because he's not going to be afraid to score against us. Maybe not so much to celebrate in front of us, right? Because I don't
Mhm.
think it's not like he has something against the fans because we didn't do anything to him. But more so to the coach, right? More so to like prove
Yeah.
to him that like here's the one that you didn't even play that much this season, and here I am proving you that I should have been playing more. But of course, we could say the same thing about Cuello, which didn't get that much playing time at San Antonio as well. Didn't really
Mhm.
score that many goals this season with them, and he might also have that. I hope so, right? Because we've seen him get plenty of minutes in the last couple of games, and I hope that he's able to kind of help us out with that, with deciphering them, with knowing what team they have and what we're going to be playing against, and so it's going to be interesting. And I hope that we do see both players in the starting 11 because hey, it's going to be Cuello against Mitch, right? A good
Yeah.
chance that they're going to be going head to head a lot, right? You might even be marking him throughout the match. So that's going to be an interesting one-on-one to see in tomorrow's match if they do start both, or if just at some point they happen to be subbed in and they're both playing. But definitely players that we're going to keep a close eye out on, dangerous players.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know with sports wagering now legal here in Arizona, I'd almost want to slap down $5 saying that Coelho and Tainter face off against each other tomorrow.
Yeah, that could be. So if we look at like the past games, San Antonio actually just beat this past Wednesday New York Rebels 2-1. They did get a red card there too, but they got managed to win at New York, right? And it was the first time they were actually playing New York in just in history. And so I mean, it was good for them. We could recall when we played against New York that it was a relatively easy rival against us. But
Yeah.
I mean, for all we know, it may have changed by then. But if we just kind of take that into consideration, then that might say something. But again, San Antonio did have to travel and all that, so there is that factor there. But other than that, I mean, we look at all the other matches. Their only loss, or at least in the recent 6 matches, came against Austin Bold, right, which is also in their group, and they're also doing pretty good. But if we look at all the other results, I mean, they've had narrow results, right, really close,
Yeah.
nothing too far off, right. I mean, in fact, their last before that they had lost against El Paso 2-0. And El
Yeah.
Paso even had a red card too there. So yeah, there's a team that they win. They might not win, and score a lot against you, but they happen to get those wins, and it might just be by just 1 goal margin, but they still get their wins. So we need to be careful with that, right? Because when you see
Mhm.
teams like that, they're doing pretty well defensively, and they're making sure they once they get up in the score line, they're going to make it really tough for you to have any clear opportunities out back, right? So that's the vibe I get from this team, just judging off the recent results that they've had. So
Yeah. I mean, we can't exactly expect a shootout like in other matches, but I mean, we've just got to stick close to them as possible because, for all we know, it could just be that one goal that makes a difference, and who knows when that could be scored. It could be early on in the match, or it could just be within the last 10 minutes, like we have been known to do throughout the past couple years. I mean, or it could just be at the death. I mean, either way, we've got to defend this house. We cannot let San Antonio storm in and take these 3 points. We need to at least give up a fight to get the 3 points and move to the next team, and do anything we can to stack these points, get into playoffs, and just fight on.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. And I think if we look at some other players, definitely their goalkeeper Matt Cardone, he's definitely one of those standout players that people talk a lot of good things about
Mm-hmm.
as their goalkeeper. I've heard a lot about him. In there too, of course, we got Mitch there being mentioned as one of their players there, and so yeah, I mean it's going to be quite interesting to see how things go by tomorrow because it's going to be quite a game, and I think we need to make sure that we take advantage of the fact that they're making a trip out here, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to make the travel. It's not an easy travel, right? To come from Texas all the way over here, and climate wise, it might be a little similar. I'm not too familiar with San Antonio area, but I think for the most part, Texas is pretty warm, right? If you look at a lot of
And
places.
humid because back in May I actually had to travel through Dallas Fort Worth, which I know is in a different part of Texas, but the humidity out there, you're practically swimming inside the airport. So I would imagine that San Antonio is not going to be too terribly different as far as humidity goes. Yeah, coming into Sacramento where really humidity is almost a non-factor, but there are going to be some differences.
Yeah. And one more thing to mention, tomorrow the weather is actually going to be quite cool for us. Actually, it's going to be probably the coolest weather I would probably venture out to say in this whole season. I don't think we've ever had a game with this like just cooler weather, right? So tomorrow the forecast is actually 76 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh wow.
That is, yeah. And by the time game actually starts, it's going to be about 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So everyone, make sure you take those sweaters because you're in for a
Yeah,
cold night.
yeah. Yeah, that's definitely hoodie weather out here.
Yeah, so quite interesting because the rest of the week we're gonna, Sunday's 81, Monday through Friday you're ranging between 90 to 95. So it's gonna be the coolest day of the week, and hopefully it's not just cool weather-wise, but it's also cool game-wise, right? And we get those 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully the players are wearing those long sleeves, right? Those Under Armour long sleeve, right? The
Yeah.
are they're going to be much needed, I think, for for the game tomorrow, and also the fans out too. Just have that with you, and yeah, all should be good with that.
Yeah. I mean, we're barely going to get into the 90s early to mid next week. I mean, we're still in the hundreds here, but nowhere near as bad. Next month we'll actually get a lot lower. So probably by the time that comes time for the match here, well, Chandler, I should say, it ought to be a lot cooler. So I don't think it's even going to be hundreds, maybe lower 90s, upper 80s by the time that happens in middle to late October. But we'll see.
Yeah, and because we're in California, I also have to mention the air quality because we know
Oh
last
yeah,
match, we know that story, right? And it feels like it's
yeah.
been a long time, but that horrible air quality from the last home game. Tomorrow, we're actually expected to have good air quality. It's supposed to be a 30 AQI, so great
E-
stuff. I'm really glad.
Excellent. That sounds great. I mean, it's going to be beneficial for a lot of folks that with the AQI that low.
Oh yeah, so I'm really glad that we're getting better air quality. All's gonna be good. So really, no excuses. No excuse for tomorrow's match. Everything is gonna be good for the team. Good weather. Texas again. I don't know if they're getting any cool weather. Maybe we could play off that. But our players, of course, aren't used to cool weather either. So it's going to be quite interesting to see that tomorrow as well. But I think everyone needs to make sure that they get their sweater, or just go to the team store and get your sweater if you have to get it there. But do take one because it's gonna be one of those days where you need one, because I think after the game it's probably gonna be like 65 or somewhere around
Yeah.
there. I mean, the lows are expected to be 61, so yeah, it's gonna be something else. Or take your Republic blanket if you've got one. If you got the one that the team sells. If you don't have one, go buy one from the team store like that. The one they sell there, it's seriously super soft. It's not one of those like really light blankets. Like it's really soft. It's really good. So yeah.
And then also remember, you can always order ahead of time, and then you can have it set up to pick up when you get into the match. I mean, that's what I did with the last home match that I came through here. It was the Memorial Day weekend match. I had ordered a couple things ahead of time, and then by the time I went through the gates, I just walked up, picked up my items, and there you go. You know, everything was already paid for and everything. So that's another thing. I mean, just pick out that long sleeve shirt, that blanket, whatever. That way, you're not having to pack it up in the car to get in. You know, and you're good to go.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's so convenient. I'm really glad they did that because if you don't make it before the game and you're trying to buy something halftime or even 15 minutes before the game, there's a good chance that you're probably going to miss a part of the game, and it's unfortunate, right? But they do have two stores too, which I recommend going to the one that is more on the other side, close to TVB side, because that
Mm-hmm.
one, even though it's smaller, you tend to get less crowds, right? Because everyone usually goes to the other one because it's
Yeah.
next to the food courts and all that. So yeah, and they tend to have the same merchandise, I think, for the most
Mm-hmm.
part, but
Yeah.
it all works out well. So yeah, good idea on the team to do that option, especially for the people who just don't want to be, in a big crowd there, just waiting around there.
Oh
So
yeah.
good stuff on the team on doing that, and I'm getting more merchandise sales for everyone. Cool. Well, Jared, let's go ahead and do this last segment here before we close out for tonight. Let's
Mm-hmm.
do our predictions for tomorrow's game. What's your prediction? Who do you got scoring? When are they scoring? All that good stuff. What do you got?
Okay, so I am going to say San Antonio will end up scoring first, possibly between the 15th and 25th minutes. Not necessarily going to say it's going to be Mitchell Tainter, but I'm sure he'll probably maybe have at least an assist in it. But then again, second half, as we've done so many games this season, Republic FC end up turning up the heat. They get one goal before the 58th minute, and then get a second goal between the 76th and 83rd minutes. So I predict 2-1 Sacramento.
Okay, yeah, that would be interesting comeback in us doing that. I also think that it is going to be a comeback game, and I think that it's going to be one of those games where and this is like a long shot, right? But I see us going down 2-0 at halftime. It's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be one of those things where I'm gonna be at halftime just saying like, all right, we're done. This is this is one of those games. But I see us making just a comeback. Second half, we scored 3 goals. First goal coming in quite early in the match, in the second half, I should say. In like the first 5 minutes, we see a goal. Second goal coming in sometime between the 55th to the 70th minute. And then the last game winning goal coming in the last 5 minutes of the game. Essentially, right? Just almost at the last minute and all that. So that's what I see, a 3-2. And nothing better than that, right? But more motivation to us because we could be able to say, like, hey, we are losing, but we're able to make those comebacks. And heck, we're back to making the comebacks that we used to make years past, right? Where we used to do that a lot, and they kept us suffering for quite a while in the match. But at the end of the day, they made us happy with the win, which is all
Yeah.
we really wanted. And those games are always great, right? I mean, sure, you have to go through a rough patch at the beginning of the game and all that, and have to see us go down and whatnot. But I think there's no better satisfaction than when you're able to actually do something that most people in the crowds were probably like, we lost already, right? Let's be honest. Most of us were probably like, yeah, we lost. But when you're able to prove to everyone that, like, look, we didn't lose. We're still strong in this game. We're not looking at the scoreline. We're just going out there to do our thing, and we're still gonna get the goals. Then I think you can't deny it. That really shows how much the team is on tune with the game, right? And how positive they are with that. And so I think that's how the game will go down. And I think that as much as we like to see us score first, and I do, right? I want to see us score first. Sometimes it ends up hurting you, right? When you start scoring first. And it's happened to us too, right? Quite often, actually,
Yeah,
too. Where we start winning, and then before you know it, they tie us, and then we're losing, right? And we were so close to that
yeah,
happening against Los Dos, right? Up 2-0.
yeah.
They were about to do their comeback, and had it not been for that last minute penalty, we would have seen that same scenario I'm saying right now, but in favor of Los Dos. So
Yeah.
it's, I don't know. You just don't know what to think anymore. But I think that when we are winning, it's more dangerous, and we need to be careful with that,
Yeah.
because it happened against Los Dos of all teams, right? Against Los Dos,
Yeah.
and it could happen against anyone else. So I'm just saying, if we are winning 1-0, if we're winning 2-0 again, yes, let's celebrate, but let's be a little cautious, right? Let's hold off the big celebration until after the referee actually ends the game and says, "All right, you won."
Exactly. You play till the final whistle. I mean, we have to remember that. We can't just go up 1-0, 2-0 and think, oh, okay, we got this in the bag. And then here they come marching again. They tie it up and then end up having a possibility about taking the lead. So we've got to put the pressure on them all the way until that last whistle.
Yeah, especially against a team like San Antonio, which they are not afraid about scoring more goals, and they are doing pretty good this season as far as goals in favor go. I mean, they have 35 total goals in favor. We only have 27, but keep in mind that El Paso actually also has 35 goals to their favor, and so they're tied with El Paso with 35 goals, right? So this is a team
Yeah.
that knows how to score. They have a pretty good goal differential at 8 versus our -4. So we need to be
Yeah.
cautious about that, right? I mean, it's gonna be a different scenario tomorrow if that happens. Versus Los Dos, we know they made their mistakes and all that, and we took advantage of them. We got the penalty kicks and all that. So yeah, let's hope for the best. And like we said earlier, go out there, support the team, and make sure that you're out there. And if you are out there, please let us know if you want some stickers, because I will actually be the only one that will actually be at the game. Podcast mom, like I said earlier, she's not going to be at the game unfortunately tomorrow, but she will be at the following game, which is going to be a day after her birthday, and still trying to figure out what we'll plan for her for that day on her birthday. So if you want the stickers, just let me know. I'll have a good stack of them with me at tomorrow's game. Let me know, and I'll give you some there as well. So feel free to coordinate that with us, and I'll make sure you get a ticket, or not a ticket. Make sure you get more stickers, at least a good bunch at tomorrow's game too, if you want some. So please let us know there as well. Great. Well, with that being said, thanks, Jared, for being on, talking about this match. Again,
Absolutely.
let's hope for the best tomorrow, 7:30 p.m.
Yep. And then for those of us outside of the area, don't forget ESPN Plus. I mean, there's only 10 matches left guaranteed. So tune in if you can, if you're outside of the area, or if you're in the Sacramento market, be sure to tune in on My 58 or Estrella Sacramento. Any way that you can tune in would be appreciated.
Oh yeah, always make sure you tune in. Make sure you're on social media doing those hashtags. If you can't make the game, at least show the team that on social media we do have support. It's just you couldn't make the game, right? Still show your support. If you're not in the stands, that's one way to show your support, is doing those hashtags and doing all that good stuff, because people see that, and the team is actually seeing that. If you know, right, they'll like your tweet, they'll like your post, they'll do all that. So let's just show them, right, that there is support. Might not all be in the stands. Hopefully it will be in the stands soon, but at least there is still support out there, and there's people just all around leaving their tweets on the game. So awesome. Well, thank you so much to everyone who tuned in to our show tonight, and also for listening to the podcast. We are going to be posting another podcast episode. Don't worry, regardless what happens tomorrow. It can't get any worse. I hope so. I hope I'm not jinxing it right now, but hopefully it doesn't get any worse than last Saturday's game. But either way, even if it is a similar game, we are going to be recording a podcast, and hopefully we'll have that posted sometime Sunday evening, so you can all listen to it sometime after that. So feel free to tune in to there, subscribe to the podcast, and all that. We really appreciate your support. Always really like that. I know I still saw our listen count go up, even though we didn't post a podcast of our last show. So if you want to go listen to the podcast, we do have a variety of ones on there that aren't game specific podcasts. We have interviews that we've done in the past. We've done even our episode that we just did a couple episodes ago, where we just gave our thoughts, not necessarily on that Smoky game that we saw last time, but just on the situation that happened with that and with other things going on, MLS and all that, like we discussed here. So go check that out. We do have those episodes there, and we are planning some more interviews as well. So as we approach the end of the season, hopefully, again, we get playoffs, but even if we don't worry. As of November, we are going to be having more, and as the off season goes down, and December, January, February, we are going to be doing more interviews, hopefully some more with players that we have this season. That is our hope. But we are also going to be interviewing people again in our Central Valley who are in the world of soccer. So a lot of people in soccer communities and youth organizations and all that, just as y'all saw with our interview we did with Regalado, who heads the Sacramento United team. So we're going to be doing more of those style. We know a lot of you like to listen to those, so we are going to be out there getting more interviews that are also not only centered Sac Republic, but also in our community, and as well as with other semi-pro teams like Academica, teams like that, because we want to hear what they have to say about all that. So be on the lookout for that. And if there is a team, if there's a story out there that you're like, hey, you guys should get this person on the podcast, let us know, send us a message, tag us, and we'll try our best to get them on the show, because we want to make sure that we highlight their story, we mention them, and that's just our way, right? Be able to grow the sport, and maybe even us help get more fans in the stands at Sacramento through our show, through us being able to grow the sport, introducing more people to the sport that we all know and love, and all that. So awesome stuff, people. Thank you again for checking us out tonight. We are going to have an update hopefully soon on the scarves. I'm still working on getting that set up, but we have the design, we have all that finalized. We're just trying to fine tune the details of how we're going to be selling them, what the price is on those, and all that. So I hope to have some news for y'all pretty soon on that. So be on the lookout for that. But with that being said, everyone, have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow at the game, or tune into the game, and you'll hear us sometime Sunday or Monday on the podcast to talk about tomorrow's game. So have a great night, everyone. See ya.
Good night, everyone.